Hey guys, this is Vince Practical Performance again. This is part 7 of the convertible specific front gusset cups for the VinceBar kit. In the previous video, we discussed, or actually I showed that I had the templates. We were adding the spots there to check out where the rivets will go, and I said that I'll send these files off for laser cutting. Here are them. Here are the pieces: the base plate, the reinforcement plate, and the cutting template that I was discussing. Let's start with that. So again, as I said, it could be or will be a challenge for people to get these cuts correct. Now imagine no cuts here, nothing cut down here as well. You start off with something that looks like this. In that case, obviously the weld nut that I cut off now, it will be sitting on the back side, so you will have something to screw in a screw into. So what you would do is you will take this piece, which I will be adding to the kit, which I call the cutting template. You would put it over that hole there, line those two holes up, and you would simply line this up. Line this up so it's positioned correctly. You would put the screw in and tighten it. Maybe we need a specific kind of screw here. I realize it's tight there. Anyway, you do that. You will mark the cut lines over here and over here, and then you could go off and cut it correctly. Okay, that was that. Moving on, this is now the base plate, and obviously you would line this hole here and that hole there, line them up, and it does fit very nicely. As I mentioned previously, this area here will need to be formed. So what I'll move on and do now is the reinforcement plate here. Now, as we cut this nut off, there will need to be a nut on the back side here. So having that, I can then place this on the back side there. This is a little bit of a challenge to do one-handed. Anyway, so it will be positioned there. I think you get the picture. The nut will be on the back side there, and we will use just a screw and a nut over here to position it. And once I've done that, and I actually have to go off and do what I have procrastinated, cut this the pipe against the new cut line. Remember, we changed the CAD file, we moved this a little bit. So in that case, these should now be lining up better. These meaning this here and that there, in terms of the depth. And what I'll do is I'll spot weld these together. I believe will probably be the step after that. For the first time, we can see it all starting to come together. So this is the base plate. I have adjusted the pipe in here, the gusset pipe. I've added the welded on nut. Let's see if we can see this. So we have that on the reinforcement plate, and there's the temporary supporting screw. Well, let's call it that. So this would be this phase before the rivet holes would be drilled. I'm just checking that everything seems to fit together, and I'm quite happy. Having first tack welded the pieces together in the actual car, I've now fully welded, and it's painfully obvious that I need a welding jig, or jig for that matter, just to put them together as well. I'm referring to the warping. I think you can see how, this here is flat. This sort of curves that way. this curves that way and even more towards the bottom there. So anyway, this is kind of the first, well, this is really the first view of what is pretty much the finished product. And what I'll do now is I'll straighten this as best I can, test fit it. To round off this episode, I thought I'd just show you how you would install this, and actually testing it out myself. So this is the piece we just saw. I've straightened it. You would put it in, obviously, fits like that, like a glove. Push it in, start using the a wheel bolt like I usually recommend. Well, basically any screw with the M12 times 1.5 millimeter thread. I'm using power drill just for the interest of time. There is now a bit of wiggle room to do some adjustments if you want, because of the larger hole. You can move it around slightly. I'm gonna put it there, tighten the wheel bolt. There we go. Now, this piece here, which is the cutoff piece where we cut off the nut as well, the weld nut, goes in here. So now it's easy to put it there. It will be held in place again by the reinforcement plate, and because of this fitment here, it's really easy to put these back in together. And using, I just have actually a little bit too long M8 screw here. Just bear with me. Gonna get that in. On this side, because there is something you could need access to here, that's why that hole is there. I chose not to put a nut there to restrict that hole unnecessarily. So a nut on the back side, screw it in. This could be temporary. I guess you could also leave it there. And should you ever need access to that hole, it's just a simple removal. So there you go. Now I'm gonna tighten that a little bit more. There we go. That piece is now stuck there. At this point, what you would do is, well, actually, first of all, tap this. Let's see. I can just hold the camera now. Get a little bit closer. So what you would do is, because this piece here of the chassis is formed, you would now tap this in with a hammer, rubber mallet, something to make it the correct shape. And once that's done, you would drill all the rivet holes. And now those holes will go not only through the chassis, it will also go through the reinforcement plate on the back side here. And once that's done, you would remove these pieces again. You would remove the paint, you would roughen the surface, and you would roughen the surface on the back side of this, and you would be ready to apply the epoxy and then clamp it all together using these, first of all, these 3 screws, and then obviously the rivets, and let it cure, and you would be all done.